Welcome back to Lost Legacies, a Hidden City Book Company production. Got it right that time. Finally got it right. Just took me a month. I'm Matt.
And I'm Sam.
Welcome back. Sorry, guys. We were off the airwaves, off the internet waves for the past 2 weeks. That was not our intention. Our intention was to take a break after we record this, but things got crazy. As you know, Sam was going to LA to go film a movie. That's already been done.
Yep.
I figure we'll probably talk about that next week because we got a lot of Lost to talk about today. So we'll catch up with you and your filmmaking experiences next week. Also, catch up on all the other little stuff we've been watching. That being said, there was a hot new article that dropped today.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Vanity Fair posted Lost Illusions, the untold story of the hit show's poisonous culture by Maureen Ryan. So basically, Maureen Ryan is writing a book called Burn It Down, just about power, corruption, all that stuff in Hollywood. And I guess she's just talking to a bunch of different like writers and authors or just people working in the system. And she ended up talking to a lot of people who worked on Lost, specifically in the writer's room. And boy, are stories being told. Basically what it comes down to is just like really toxic work culture and racism, and it's it's nasty. I wanted to bring this up because I feel like it's kind of our responsibility because we're here talking about Lost, and that's one of the points they bring up too, is like, what good will it do bringing this up 17 years after the fact? And it's like, well, people still look on this show as this work of genius and all this stuff, and even though it may or may not be, I think that should be remembered probably as part of the legacy, the Lost legacy, especially because, especially early seasons, we were talking a lot about like, man, look how inclusive this show is, and all this stuff. And although it was us being just 4 seasons in, we're already kind of seeing maybe backtracking, I guess. I don't know. But they bring this up in the article as well, how like all the heroes are the white characters, Saeed gets a few good episodes a season. Sun and Jin get a few good episodes a season, but most of the time they're on the outskirts, It's always Jack, Kate, and Sawyer, and Locke. And it's like, yeah, man, that's a bummer. And the really crazy part is that they really go in depth about Harold Perrineau, because especially after he left Lost, he was talking a lot about it in interviews and stuff. And basically, they used him to kind of sell the show because he was like the biggest name at the time.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, and they were really saying, we really want to give you good stuff to do, and he was game for it. But then after the first season, he's like, you know what? Like, Michael's not really doing that much. He is, but he's always like in the background. And we talked about this episode 2, season 2, episode 2. It's the episode where Michael and Sawyer are just floating in the ocean on what's left of the raft. And originally that was going to be a Sawyer episode. So they went and filmed all the Sawyer flashbacks, and Harold Perrineau was not happy about it because he says Michael mentions Walt once in the beginning and not for the rest of the episode. And he was saying, he's like, look, man, he's like, I can't play. He's like, I don't want to fall into that stereotype. I don't want to play a black guy who doesn't care about his black kid. And he's like, oh, we're not racist. And Harold Perrineau is he gets very candid about that. He's like, you can't bring up race, especially in writers' room and stuff, without people getting offended. He's
Mm,
like, look, I'm not calling you racist. I'm just saying, like, I'm a black man. This is my truth. This is how I feel, and everyone gets defensive about it. He's
right.
like, "Oh, I'm not racist. I'm not racist." It's like, "I never said you were." So, yeah, so they ended up rewriting it and they scrapped the Sawyer flashbacks and they did Michael's. They filmed it in like 2 days. And he said they were like 18-hour days. And he's like, Harold Perrineau said, he's like, I'm not going to screw this up. So let's do this right.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of the beginning. He's like, and after that, again, as we saw, Michael left the season. He came back towards the end,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't know that he was getting written off until the very end.
Oh,
And yeah, and so there's all this stuff, and of course
man.
there's rumors and stuff that people are saying behind the scenes. You know, someone heard basically the writing culture was very especially with season 2, because that's when all the awards started coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and Lindelof and Hughes started getting more power. Now they had the power to hire and fire as they pleased.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just they're the articles explain how it just things got worse and worse and worse. And uh racism, sexism, also like I Damon Lindelof, like he did get interviewed for this book and he's very open about everything, and he talks about how he's like, I don't remember a lot of that. He's like, but he's very remorseful that that happened, and the people had that experience. Cool, I'm glad you feel that way, but
Yeah.
it's just a very, very weird, very, especially in the midst of the writer strike and all this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
certainly today's climate is not the same as it was 17 years ago when this stuff was going on. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, man, like I don't know if that would fly today, because there
Right.
is an effort of studios to be better and do better, so, and that's part of the reason why they're telling the story, because you know they want to get better. The studios, they need to do better going forward, so they need to have these discussions and tell these stories,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not just like unearthing this old buried crap. It's like, no, it's still relevant, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a bummer, man. That sucks. But yeah.
And that's yeah, that is a shame. And I didn't read the article because I didn't know if there were going to be
There
any
are some
spoilers,
spoilers.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so warning, if you're thinking about going and finding the article, there is some spoilers.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because uh a lot of this is not really the racism or sexism or any of that stuff, but I was getting a lot of the Game of Thrones vibes of how the show went on. The more and more successful it was, Benioff and Weiss got more powerful. One, that's when a lot of the mistakes were starting to come in,
Hmm.
because they started cutting down their staff. And it's at the end, it was just them, you
Yeah.
know? They wanted to write every single episode and they
Hmm.
started to direct as well. And I'm like,
Hmm.
holy shit, man.
I think there was one other writer and then maybe like two staff writers is what I remember seeing.
Hmm.
But yeah, on the whole, they are the ones who are credited for pretty much that whole last season.
Yeah. That's a bummer way to start off the season finale episode, but I felt like it's something we had to talk about that unfortunately is part of the legacy that is lost.
Yeah.
But so Sam, anything else? Anything other positive we need to bring up before we jump in?
I'm positively sorry that I brought that up so that we had to, start the episode out like a bummer. No, I mean, no, you're absolutely right. It's something that needed to be addressed and yeah, hopefully this coupled with, like the strike and all that stuff starts leading to better working conditions and a better work culture for, you know future shows. We don't
Hmm.
want, we don't want like the next big popular show, to come out and be like, oh, we love it, it's so great, and then find out, this is all a mess, and yeah, it's a, right. Everybody deserves better. The writers deserve
Yeah.
better. Actors deserve better. Like we're all just people trying to make something fun. You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And the impending actor strike as well. I don't know if they've. I know they voted, but I don't know if it's official yet.
I I
But
I think the word is that it's pretty it's looking
oh
positive
yeah,
that they're
they're
gonna
pretty sure they're
strike.
going to do it.
Yeah.
But the article did mention how there's big pay disparity,
Hmm.
amongst the cast. Again, Harold Perrineau, like he was one of the top ones, but then they're like, well, maybe Michael isn't so important, so he got bumped down to like recurring. And I'm like, dude, like
Mm.
I get it, it's a cutthroat business, television, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you gotta treat people, like human beings. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. A big thing they mentioned was Friends. How by the end of Friends, the entire cast fought for equal pay and they got it. So by the
Mm.
towards the end of Lost, they were fighting for equal pay for everyone, and it didn't work out that way. So like,
Mm.
wow, yeah, that sucks, man. And again, like it comes down to like the power. Like you want to give your creators the power to control their own thing,
Mm.
but you got to have some kind of system of checks and balances to keep them in line. Because like the more power creators have, I feel like that dampens the creativity.
Mm.
So even take out all the moral ethics of just being like a shitty person. I'm just talking about from a creative standpoint. Like that's usually when stories, films, or TV shows they kind of start going astray. It's when they can do whatever they want.
Mm.
Creativity thrives with structure and constraint.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know. That's why I don't agree with a lot of like the mindset, especially like we just mentioned Game of Thrones. We're going to have a smaller writers' room that last season. It's just going to be a few of us. It's like, why? One, there's
Yeah.
less episodes, so I get it. But like, why? No, you want the best,
Yeah.
So yeah, give yourself the most every opportunity you can to succeed, and give the people you're working with every opportunity and tool you can so they can succeed. And then you have a pretty damn good product.
Damn. I love that. Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, stick that on your pipe and smoke it, Lindelof. So, I was trying to think of a good like a
Like a
segue.
segue.
There was no pipes or smoke in this last episode.
Dang.
I will say though, we watched this finale like over 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and then we realized we couldn't record.
Mm-hmm.
You just rewatched it last night.
Yep.
I did not.
Oh wow.
So I'm
Oh
crossing my
great.
fingers.
Uh,
All right. So we're talking about the season finale, season four, season finale, season four, episodes 13 and 14. There's No Place Like Home, parts 2 and 3.
mm,
Locke ends up leading the others. Ben moves the island. And in the future, the identity of Jeremy Bentham is revealed. Let's just get that out of the way. I completely forgot about that because he popped up in the season 3 finale and they're like, oh, someone's dead. Someone's dead. It's like, okay.
mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't mentioned again until this finale. I was like, oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell's Jeremy Bentham?
Yeah, yeah. Well, because we had to catch up. We spent all of season 4, playing catch up with the timeline.
Yeah, that's very true.
You
With the
know,
timeline, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Flashbacks, but it's still technically the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, flash forwards, man. That's yeah. It's flash forwards backs.
Well, true, but it's like our first flashback was like well, maybe even more.
3 years.
Was it 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember.
Yeah, because they mention it in part 2 somewhere in there that it's been 3 years since they got back.
Hmm.
I think Kate mentions it to Jack in that opening scene.
Oh. Oh, that's right. Okay, was it this episode or was it part 1 where it starts off and they're at they're back at the airport?
It was part two.
Okay,
Yeah.
so part 1 we were dealing with all the Oceanic 6 stuff. Part
Yeah.
2 starts and it's like, "Oh god, we're back in the season 3 finale."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. It's like we thought that conversation was over. We have
Hmm.
to go back. And
Hmm.
no, she comes back and she finishes the conversation. I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
man." Yeah. So, since we're talking about the big twist, Jeremy Bentham, someone that everyone knows, all the Oceanic 6 knows, and they're not saying, they're like, don't say his name or whatever like that. You
Hmm.
know, it turns out,
Or why are you calling him that? That's not his real name. You blah blah blah.
yeah, turns out it's Locke.
Okay. First of all, this was one of the things that I knew.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, I knew from the beginning that the person in the casket was Locke.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just, again, listeners, that's just one of the things that I remember from when Matt would, watch this live and then run into my room and tell me, recount the whole episode for me.
What did I
uh
say? Locke's dead.
Locke's dead, he's in the casket. I'm like, cool, don't know who that is. um yeah. So yeah, that was one of the things that I knew. um I don't know, maybe it'll play better when we get to actually see Locke as Jeremy Bentham, like going through and like
Yeah.
meeting everybody. But like, honestly, it kind of did nothing for me until like seeing, like, oh yeah, confirming that is Locke in the casket. Because like hearing about this other person who I've never heard of before, never met, and they always keep saying his full name,
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Bentham. It's like, hey, that's a name. You got to remember that. That's an
Mm-hmm.
important name. And I'm like, guys, I don't care. This is obviously a ploy. This is like the oh yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch isn't playing Khan in Into Darkness,
I have a
the
better
whole.
one. This is like
Yeah.
Nikki and Paolo. They've been there the whole time.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So like I get the story structure of this, how there's this character who's been involved in the story somehow that we
Hmm.
haven't seen yet.
Hmm.
Okay, I get that. That's not new, but the fact that it kept bringing it up and stuff, I don't know. It's just weird. There is, I think it's season 4 or something. There's a season of The 100 where they rescue this guy, and I forgot what his name is. Like, I don't know. Darren. We'll call him Darren.
Oh
And they're
gosh.
like, Darren's so cool. Darren's like friends with everyone from before they crashed on the planet. And it's like, oh, Darren's alive? Oh, cool. Darren, I haven't seen you forever. I'm like, I don't care about this Darren guy. And he's like a guest star for one episode, and then I think they barely bring him back.
Mm.
And then he turns out to be like a a dick. So I'm like,
Oh great.
you know, it's just, that's kind of what this reminded me of.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bentham. I'm like, all right. I remember enjoying that more when the first time I watched it, but this time around, just like, it's definitely a seed for the future. It's just weird that that's the way they ended the season, you know?
Hmm.
I don't know. Like,
I,
obviously, it wouldn't have worked, but I feel like the season 3 finale would have been better, with
hmm.
Jack telling Kate, we have to go back.
Hmm.
But I mean, then the whole flash forward twist wouldn't have worked and stuff. But it's just like, I don't know. It's like there's nothing, especially considering where Locke's story ends in this season, and you're like, okay, well, how's he get there to there?
Hmm. I guess it's sort of like we got throughout these two episodes these little nuggets of information from Ben about like the links that he will have to go through to get off of the island.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, he's exiled from the island.
Right.
He can never go back,
Mm-hmm.
but he's still working to protect the island, blah, blah, blah. We already know he's got Saeed killing people, important people who I guess are connected to Widmore, um, and or involved in Oceanic in some way. And now it's like, okay, now it all comes to a head, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, like Jack, you can't go back alone. The island won't let you. It needs all of you to come back together. And it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we need Jeremy Bentham, who's really John Locke, who's dead inside that casket. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, okay,
he has to go back too.
yeah, so I wonder if that's a thing where it's like, because it is, like that has also been Locke's whole journey, like staying on the island,
Hmm.
finding out its true purpose, finding his destiny. And then to end this season, give him sort of two endings where he's like leading the others now,
Hmm.
and then also he's dead off
Yeah,
island,
yeah.
so it's like, oh, what, and even Jack says, like, he told me that after we left, terrible, terrible things happened on the island, and it was my fault.
Hmm.
So, it's kind of like, okay, this is setting up for the future. Like, what are these terrible things that John Locke has to face that is going to propel him off island to try and get people back?
Right, right. Oh man, I don't
Wild,
know. I think
wild.
like when we sit down and we're talking about it, it's like, yeah,
Hmm.
ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah,
Because the
I
twist
guess
itself was kind of like out of nowhere.
the alias. I think it's just the alias of it. Just be like, they needed a name to get the characters riled up in order to like get their journeys moving potentially for next season,
Yeah,
but they didn't want to spoil it and just say John Locke died. They'd be like, well, wait, is he part of the six? Is he
yeah,
how is he involved? All that stuff. Like, and that really, I feel like that's just all that was.
yeah. I
So,
mean, especially when you look at the first three like season finales, like, okay, this was a great finale. I loved it. But like the actual ending with that scene, like the first one ends where they open the hatch. Like, okay.
mhm,
Second one is the people in the Arctic or whatever who finds the signal. They're like, okay.
mhm,
And then three is at the airport where Jack's telling Kate we have to go back. It's like they were super well done and clever, and they were definitely seeds for the future. And we had no idea what was coming. This one just kind of felt like it did those things, but it really was like I don't know. It didn't feel magic. It just felt like a twist. Like, oh,
mm.
okay, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I can see that.
So, and they
What?
did to keep things secret. They filmed alternate versions. So
Mm,
there was a version where it's Sawyer in the casket, and then there's another one where Desmond is in the casket. They
mm.
didn't want spoilers getting out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I remember you telling me about that too, but I thought that was for next season. I thought that was for season five.
Oh no, no, it was this one.
No. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that. I guess like all the like I guess let's talk about like the flash forwards first.
Okay.
Because like there weren't that many of them, which I think was good
Hmm.
because like we got a lot of ground to cover on the island.
Hmm.
But Kate has a dream where Claire shows up to the house and tells Kate not to bring Aaron back.
Hmm.
Which rightly so, freaks Kate the F out.
Hmm.
And is very much in contradiction to everything that ends the episode.
I'm just gonna say this real quick on the note of Claire. I'm glad they brought her back for the finale. Like that
Hmm.
was good.
Hmm.
They should have kept Claire goth.
Oh,
I was just thinking about that. I'm like,
I thought you were gonna say gone.
no, I was like they needed a goth character. That would have been so cool if it was Claire. You
Hey
know,
man, look, they've been on a deserted island for 3 months. You think you can keep up with that makeup
dude, the
regimen the whole
makeup
time?
would be a bitch. The
Uh-huh.
clothes, just wearing all black on that
Oof,
island. Oh, the
man.
sweat. Oh
Yeah,
man.
that's a killer right there.
Yeah.
But I was actually gonna say what I thought you had originally said. I think they should have kept Claire gone. Like I have the moment where she sees Christian Shepherd with Aaron
Hmm.
at the fire and then don't show her again. Because the next time we saw her with in the cabin.
Hmm.
And she's there with Locke, and it's like she looks like she's been here all along. She's been in on it the whole time. And I'm like, I don't know. For me, that doesn't make sense. I think
Hmm.
it would have been much, and because several characters have asked, like, where's Claire, and Sawyer just has to keep saying, like, I don't know, like, I don't know. He doesn't even answer Hurley when Hurley's like, how are Claire and the baby? Like, he just kind of
Hmm.
like side eyes him and like looks off, and it's like, I feel like it would have hit a lot harder if we didn't know what was up with Claire. Where the hell did Claire go? And
Hmm.
then we get in this flash forward, Kate sees Claire with baby Aaron. I feel like that would have been uh a more prominent scene,
Yeah. Yeah, I do too.
because then we're like, what is this the first time anybody's seen Claire in three
Yeah.
years? Like
And
that
because
would have been
she didn't
wild.
really add anything to that scene in the cabin other
Yeah.
than annoying, like, I have the answers and you don't. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh damn
Mm-hmm.
it.
It's like don't be like the others,
Yeah,
Claire.
yeah, it
Come
was very
on.
others of her. I'm like,
Uh
no.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That
Um
would have been cool if we didn't see her until the future.
mm-hmm.
And she comes out like the
Saeed,
ring girl because she's goth.
right,
Mhm.
exactly. Um Saeed straight up kills a dude who's perched outside of
Mhm.
the mental institute, and convinces Hurley to come with him, not back to the island, just
Mm-mm.
somewhere safe. Um,
That's interesting. So that's where both of their stories end.
that's where both of their stories end.
Yeah.
Also, Hurley says that he's having regular conversations with dead people, and then he finishes his chess game with the ghost of Mr. Echo.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Ryder, you're teasing me with my Mr. Echo.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was like, oh, that's so cool, but also very bummed that he
Yeah.
wasn't there. Uh, and then I think the last flash forward is where Sun confronts Widmore.
Oh wow. That's it? That was the last one?
I think so. Yeah, because I think we only got like two per episode. So it
Mm-hmm.
was the we have to go back conversation, and then Kate seeing Claire in the first in part two, and then part three it's Hurley and Saeed, Sun confronting Widmore, and then the finale. Um, so that whole conversation was interesting too, because it's like, especially at the point where it comes in, within the episode, we see how like these are very different people who came off of the island. They have been irrevocably changed. We've seen how, and I feel like Sun is the one we've seen the least amount, considering because like in her whole flash forward episode, she's giving birth to a baby, and it's split between the flashback of Jin, and it's the audience twist, whatever.
Yeah.
So we really haven't seen anything with Sun other than that she has the baby. They had the funeral for Jin, and now she's owner of her father's company.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing her confronting this man and being like, hey, I know you know who I am, and I know that we are all lying. When you're done messing around, we have a common interest. Find me.
Yeah.
Because we're not the only people who left the island. And I'm like, this is great, because I'm like, this is a proactive character. This is
Yeah.
somebody who has the money, has the resources, and who has the grudge to
Mm-hmm.
keep. She's the triple threat. She's the trifecta, and she's like, I am going to get this, whatever it is, vengeance, whatever retribution, she's
Mm-hmm.
gonna get it. And I'm on Team Sun. I don't care where everybody else is at. Like, Jack, you lost it. You're drunk, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm over it. You and Kate are playing house and having a good, happy post island experience. And all your friends are mourning and in terrible spots.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I'm Team Sun all the way.
There is another flashback we didn't talk about though. Hurley had a flashback
What was Hurley's flashback?
where he gets a visitor.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He
Mm-hmm.
gets a visit. That's right. Okay, I'm sorry. He gets a visit from Walt.
Mm-hmm.
from not so little Walt.
Yeah, man, that makes sense. It's been a couple of years, and he's grown a
Hmm.
lot.
And
Uh,
he asked, like, I thought y'all would come find me, but nobody ever did.
mhm.
It's like, man, how this lie that they've told themselves just runs deep,
Yeah,
And it's like, man, like what are you guys doing? What are
yeah.
y'all doing here?
Like you would think, like maybe even like a letter or something. Like, well, it's also they probably don't know where he's at
Oh, I
because
guess
because he's in
he's in New York,
hiding.
but he's in hiding.
He's in hiding as well.
That's true.
So like they would need like the grandmother's info to find him.
That's true. Yeah,
Hurley and
yeah.
Son could probably do it. They got connections.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And Saeed, I guess, could have if he,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
if he wasn't on his vengeance kick, after
Hmm.
Nadia. Um, yeah, it's wild. What a wild show.
In my head canon, he killed someone who was going after Walt.
Saeed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Loose
Yeah.
ends.
Okay. I like
Yeah.
it.
Man. Yeah, and he even says, that wanting to know where his dad is and stuff, and Hurley tells him that basically I guess he says he's alive on the island, or uh like what does Hurley say, that like we can save them all or something like that?
No, like we're lying
Oh, to
to
keep them
protect
safe.
everybody we left behind.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Walt's like my dad, and Hurley just kind of looks and is like, yeah. Which is an interesting thing because watching the episode, it's real interesting seeing who knows that Michael's back.
Right? I figured Son told them eventually, and Desmond.
Yeah. I would imagine so. Well, yeah, because they did spend 1 week on Penny's boat.
I know. I was like, damn, dude, 7 days? I'm
Yeah.
like, that's an entire season of Lost, you know?
I want that season.
I think
That's
season
season
3 was like a week.
season 4.5 is all
Season
on Penny's boat.
4 was like a handful of days. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh crap.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, man. It's interesting because I feel like there's gaps that can definitely be filled. I think they've set the writers have set themselves up for that specifically.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. But as far as I know, those are all the flash forwards. I enjoy them. It's cool. Excited to see where that goes
Hmm.
next season. I don't I don't want I don't here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want. I don't know, it's not a prediction. This is just what I want. I don't want any more flash forwards. I just want straight up linear storytelling from here on out.
And that's gonna
Like,
be it's kind of interesting too, because like what like how would they work? Because the timeline has caught up.
mm-hmm,
We're now
mm-hmm,
at the point in time where all those flash forwards are occurring.
mm-hmm.
So
I don't want any more flash forwards or flashbacks or whatever until the Oceanic Six get back to the island. I think that'd be such a cool thing.
yeah,
Like it would be such a shock to be like,
yeah,
whoa,
true,
there's
true,
there's none of that. And then when they get back, once they start interacting with people, then
yeah.
it's those people who stayed on the island. We get their flashbacks.
However, I will say this though, as a storytelling device, those flashes may not be needed, because now for the first time the entire cast is split.
Yeah.
Before it was always, even though they were separated, it was always the island and off island. Well,
Mm-hmm.
now the casts are split. So we don't necessarily need the flashes. We
Mm-hmm.
just go between locations at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, okay, so you said it's been 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be interesting to see island time. You know,
Oh, I didn't
how's
even think
that
about
going to
that.
go? Are we
Yeah.
still going to stay here, and we'll be here present day on island, and then 3 years in the future off island?
Mm-hmm.
Or, so like there's going to be something, I don't know. But that's going to be really interesting now. So I think instead of kind of like the flashes, now they could kind of just focus on like island off island, do, which we always had been since the beginning.
Time travel is going to be involved somehow.
They've already introduced time travel into the series.
Yeah. Yeah, it is canonical that is what the Orchid Station was for. It was for,
Yeah, they're
as
playing with time.
yeah, as Ben so aptly put it, time traveling bunnies.
Now the cop out would be like, oh, the island moved into the future 3 years.
Oh God. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, in lockstep with,
Yeah.
yeah. No. I don't want any of that. Oh man, that's so cool. Well, I guess it's time to start talking about island stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you mentioned the orchids, so let's talk about Orchid Station, man.
man, here's the thing. I don't even like the Dharma Initiative. I don't even like them. I
Yeah.
just I'm just in awe that, it's like, you know what? Yeah, there would be a company that just is doing all these weird, dumb experiments, you
Mm-hmm.
know, on this tropical island. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But the Orchid Station set, like both the greenhouse and below, it's really cool.
I know, dude. I loved it.
Like, man, this like it feels good. I wish we had been ranking the different Dharma stations because this would be up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I want to see what it looked like when it was still like up and running and functional.
yeah. Man, it's so weird because like we are sort of like hopping around, but like Ben killed Keeney
Yeah, man. Straight up brutal murdered. I was like, oh
straight
crap.
up, and he knew what he was doing. Don't give me this like, oh, like I was in distress because I'm a grieving father. It's like
Yeah.
you don't care about any of that.
No, that's even the
You
line.
knew.
That's even the line. Locke says, you just killed everyone on that boat. And Ben just looks at him. So?
So
And it cuts to commercial. I'm like, oh, damn it.
no, that's the end of part two.
Oh, that's the end of part two. Like,
That's the end of
oh.
part two. I'm like, Benjamin Linus is such a little shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He gives John the like, I'm just a grieving father, like I make mistakes,
Yeah.
blah 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 in the next one. But yeah, so that was wild. That was crazy.
That was crazy. The whole whatever Darmo's doing now, their time traveling bunnies was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Blows up that room and then discreetly makes his way into an
I
ice
thought I
cavern.
thought this was really interesting because, you know, this is where Ben and Locke's part ways, and that's where it's kind of revealed. He's like, no, like you're just gonna help me. You can go back now, John.
Mm-hmm.
Like the others, they're gonna need a leader. And I've really enjoyed Ben's kind of storyline. Like you don't really notice it at first, but like
Mm-hmm.
this season really starts painting the picture of like, oh man, he's not in charge anymore. His
Mm-hmm.
time is over. And that was like these last couple episodes really seeing like Ben needs to leave the island. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Locke's not the one to move the island. It's going to be Ben because whoever moves it, they can't come back.
Yeah.
And like, it's just so fascinating to see this character, this villain going through that kind of arc. He's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
time's up. Like, okay.
Yeah. Which is interesting. I'm wondering how that journey is gonna go, like
Now that he's off
yeah,
island, yeah.
yeah, now that he's off island, because it's like he's still working within the interest of the island,
Yeah.
He did like
Oh,
he's fighting against Whitmore.
yeah, and we've
So
seen what happens next because that was his episode. He shows up in the desert with the parka and all that stuff.
mm-hmm,
You know, it's
mm-hmm,
like, wow, okay.
yeah.
Oh, but he does have a time jump, right? Because when he shows up in the desert, the parka, he
Mm-hmm,
goes to the hotel. He uses the name Moriarty, and he says, "Do you have the date?" And they
mm-hmm,
said the date, and that's when we figure, like, oh, it's been 2 years.
mm.
No, 2 years, a year. I think it's been a year because we said it's just under a year
Oh,
since the
okay.
crash. So
Okay.
everyone back home was still living good. You know,
Mm-hmm,
I think Nadia died because I think that's when he sees the funeral. He sees, or not the
mm-hmm.
funeral. He sees it the thing on the news.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was less than a year. The plane crashed in less than a year. Sayid gets off the island, finds Nadia, marries her, and then she's killed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So
Yeah.
there was a time jump for Ben
Mm-hmm.
when he moves the island.
Mm-hmm. But
But yeah, dude,
he's been off island for at least like 2 years or something. Yeah.
in total, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that goes back into our time travel thing. Like he did jump
Mm-hmm.
through time.
Mm-hmm.
He went into the future a little bit. So he moves the island. He shoots through time. But yeah, so he goes into the ice cave to move the wheel. I'm like, dude, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like, I know no answer is ever going to be satisfying for all of these things, but it's like I want to know, man. Like,
Right?
what is this? Like, what's down there? Like, put it in the Lost Visual Guide, like the Star Wars things have, and like
Yeah.
just let me read about it. I don't care if it's not canon. Like, just make up something, and I'll read it, and I'll be like, you know what? That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But with that, it allows Ben to perform what Locke calls a miracle
Mm-hmm.
and moves the island.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's preface this. There's a lot of crap that goes down before that. Kimi's men get killed. The others are finally like useful, and they like take out this whole like paramilitary group like nothing. I'm like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Could have used that earlier.
Yeah, I know.
Um, but their gunfight puts a bullet hole in the helicopter,
Mm.
so they're losing fuel.
Trauma. I
They,
love it.
They're trying to get back, and Frank's like, "We're gonna, I feel a lot better for 100 pounds lighter," which prompts Sawyer, who we all know
Oh.
wasn't gonna get on that boat, prompts Sawyer to whisper something to Kate. It's now or never. Just do it, Freckles. And then he jumps off the thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I'm sorry. Like, this is the romance lead.
Dude,
I don't
I
care about
know.
Jack. I don't
Like,
care at all.
oh.
Like, no, this Sawyer all the way, man.
Mhm. And then that's the
Um,
scene too where like, Hurley's feeling some guilt,
mm-hmm,
because his weight. I'm like, oh, dude, it's so heartbreaking. Because it
mm-hmm,
goes back to his story, and the dock breaking, and it's like, oh
mm-hmm,
man.
mm-hmm. And then they get back to the boat, and the bomb hasn't gone off yet, but it's about to.
Hmm.
Jin's trying to make his way back up to get to the thing. They're refueling. Son's like, I've got to find Jin. And Kate's like, I'll go get Jin. And then Jack's like, no, we've got to
There's
go.
no
And I'm like,
time. Yeah.
are you kidding me? Come on, guys. And then Jin shows up at the top of the thing just as the helicopter's taking off. They're like, we have to go back. We have to go back. Michael is going to sacrifice himself. He's there trying to freeze the thing. Oh, Desmond's on the helicopter now.
Hmm.
And then he hears the whispers, and one Christian shepherd shows up and tells him, you can leave now, Michael. Who are you?
Boom.
And then the boat blows up, and you're like, what?
Ah.
And we don't know. Okay. Yeah. Like I know a few things. I know at least one thing, but we don't know if they're dead. We're just assuming they're dead. We're like, they
This
look
is
freaking
lost.
dead,
This
you
is
know?
lost. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
one, it, it, even if they are dead, we still can see characters again,
exactly.
So there's no
Exactly.
guarantee. But also, they really make a point to give some dramatic emphasis for someone's death,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'll just say we didn't actually see Jin die,
Yeah.
but he was on the boat when it blew up. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh crap.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, Yunjin Kim has the best scream, dude.
She does.
She screamed like 3 or 4 times, and it's just like blood curdling scream, and like you can feel it because those two are in love, and they've been fighting for the past 4 seasons for each other, and they're
Mm-hmm.
so close to getting out, and Jin doesn't make it. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my god, dude.
Man.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm just like,
damn.
it's heartbreaking.
It was a great scene, but without that scream, man, like that took it into a whole different tier.
Uh-huh.
I was like, dude, this is tragic.
Hmm.
Mm.
Which means they're gonna go back to the island, and then the island moves, and there's no island.
You say it so nonchalantly, but yeah, like there's a big white light, and it's like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
gone.
it's gone. It is the island. If like it doesn't like disappear, or it doesn't like shift, like fade away or anything like that. No, blinding light, and then it kind of looks like it just like got like poop like down like plucked under the water.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that. Like it's just a little like pool or whatever that's left.
yeah. You see, like where the island was is it filling in with water. It's like this little like whirlpool
Yeah,
thing. Like, wow.
it's so wild. So like I don't and everybody's acting so cool about it. Like
Yeah.
when like the helicopter crashes in the water, there's a life raft. Everybody's fine, quotes, fine.
Hmm.
But I'm like, that is on top of everything else that's happened today.
Hmm.
That is the most horrifying thing I would have experienced in my entire life. I wouldn't be okay.
Dude, and that's why like it kind of drives me nuts too, because like Hurley's like, I can't believe he did it. Locke, he moved the island. And Jack's like, he didn't move the island. He's like, really, dude? He's like,
Hmm.
because it was there 1 second and then it was gone.
Hmm.
What do you think happened? It's like,
Yeah.
Jack, it's right in front of you. Like the proof is there. Like, what
Yeah.
more do you need? That's a cool character trait. If at some point he starts to flip, which we're seeing
Yeah.
in the flash forwards, but I'm like,
Yeah.
it's frustrating if the character never grows.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's like Jack, open your eyes.
Hmm.
Damn it.
Hmm. I'd have told him to shut up, and then I'd be like, "Look, I'm not staying with you. I'm gonna go with Penny on her boat because I'm not dealing with any of this
Yeah,
bullshit."
I'm gonna stay
You know?
dead. See you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Frank just he's like, hey man, Frank survived. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
taking off. So and the reunion with Desmond and Penny. Oh man,
Oh, tearjerker, man.
Penny, Des. That's it. That's my
Wow,
impression.
he was great.
And he's just so cool about it. He's like, everyone, this is Penny. Like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, cool.
Again, the most traumatic event in our lives has just happened. It's
Yeah,
like, hey man, this is my girlfriend I haven't seen in
yeah.
3 years. She found
It's
me.
it's so wild though because let's go back a little bit. Jack has his final scene with Locke, and Locke's like begging him, "Don't leave," and he even
Hmm.
says, "You're gonna have to lie. They're
Hmm.
gonna want to know what happened. You know, people have been sent here to kill us all because we're here." And like he's like, "You're gonna have to protect them."
Hmm.
Protect them and us, blah blah blah. So sure
Hmm.
enough, once they see the boat, the lights, everyone's like, "Oh, we're rescued!" And then that's when Jack brings it up. He's like, "We're gonna have to lie
Hmm.
because otherwise they'll keep trying to find the island."
Hmm.
It's like, oh,
Well, it's not. Yeah. It's a little bit about the island. It's mostly just like he like because he straight up tells Frank like the people who came on your boat were sent to kill us
yeah,
because the world thinks we're dead. If they find out they're survivors, they're gonna keep coming after us.
hmm,
And potentially if there are people back on the island now still, they're gonna go after them. So it's less like because Lox was very like destiny driven. You've got to protect the island because this is all
right,
fated, stuff like that.
yeah,
And Jack comes at it from a very pragmatic, like it's about the people,
yeah.
like it is about us, and all that. And it's like, ooh,
This
I
is
even wrote,
us.
ooh, yeah, this is us. I even wrote down what Locke said. Said, lie to them, Jack. If you do it half as well as you lie to yourself, they'll believe you. And I was like,
Yeah, dude.
oh,
Oh, that was so
ow,
good.
man, Locke, you son, but it's true. And even
Yeah,
Jack's like taken aback by it. And then when they're on the boat, he's like, we have to lie. It's like, yep,
yeah, yeah.
Jack Shepard, you're no saint. Oh,
Oh man,
man,
awesome.
what a
Um,
show. And freaking just real quick. Faraday and the Zodiac raft are still
We
out
hope they
there.
get. I mean, we're assuming they got pulled with them because we didn't see them in the water.
Oh, I'm not assuming anything. I don't think they are.
Maybe
Because
they're
look,
somewhere else. Well, because
the
if they
helicopter crashed in in a different spot. Like they're not even around each other anymore.
well, true, but they would have been between them and the island. So,
Yeah.
granted, it's hard to find a little boat, but who knows? They could
Yeah.
be anywhere. Him and the 4 or 5 red shirts. Speaking of which, like, what about all the red shirts that went with Sun and Jin to
They're
the
dead.
freighter? They're
They're
gone.
all dead. Yeah.
So, like, they're Sam and Matt, like, hey, is that Jack and Kate? Oh, so why
I
is
think
Sun
so.
taking Aaron on the plane?
Why is Jin running? Yeah, like
What
how
are
come
we?
they're
Jin's
yeah.
freaking out. Should I know something?
Should we be freaking out?
Are they leaving? Jin, what's going?
Yeah, we die. Yeah. So I guess canonically Sam and Matt are dead.
Yeah. So. No, that's interesting. I have to think about that.
I remember I'm not leaving your side. I'm going everywhere you
Because
are.
we decided that we would have gone with Jack, right?
I think so, yeah.
So the question is, would we have been on the first trip on the Zodiac, the
Mm,
second trip of the Zodiac,
or the
or
third
would we?
trip.
Yeah, well, there was no third trip. Or would we have waited
Mm,
for other people to go?
mm. I
I wouldn't go
yeah.
first,
No, I'm not going first.
and I would wait for like because we know like Saeed and Kate went further into the island to go get Jack and all that stuff. Like I think I'm gonna wait for some more familiar faces. I'm gonna wait
Hmm.
for hopefully Hurley reunites with us.
Hmm.
I wouldn't just
You know,
go.
you know what I'm doing? I'm sticking with Rose.
You're right, yeah.
I'm sticking with Rose. Like I know she's staying on the island. She's not leaving, but I'm gonna I'm gonna hang out with Rose
Mm-hmm.
until I see, Jack and Kate and Saeed like fully saying, "Hey everyone, it's safe. We're all going onto the boat." Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm staying for that. So I'm gonna be, there,
So we'd still be on the beach.
yeah, we'd still be on the beach and be like, "Man, this is an exciting day,
Who
Matt.
knows? I know, right?
This is wild. Who knows where it's gonna end up?" And then
Yeah.
the island moves, and we're like, "So is the boat still out there?"
Oh God, we'll be with Miles and Charlotte
Oh
eating
God.
cereal, which is
Ugh.
interesting because was that last episode where they kind of mentioned where they mentioned they're staying?
That was in the second one, yeah.
So Miles is staying
Hmm.
for whatever reason, which is
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm.
Uh,
And he tells
Char,
Charlotte, he's like, "It's so funny that you're getting ready to leave, considering how hard you fought to get back here."
yeah,
And she's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "What do I mean?" And then I'm just like, "Oh
yeah,
man, I hate you, but I
yeah,
want to know
but
more."
don't they say? Don't they say something about what does she say in this episode?
She when Faraday comes to get her, she says that she's staying, and she's like, "I can't explain it, but would it make sense if I told you I was still looking for the place I was born?"
That's right.
And
That's what it was.
Faraday's like, "No, it really doesn't." And then she like kisses him goodbye, and she's like, "Take care of yourself." Like, and Faraday, he's just like there's not gonna be a next time. It's next time could be forever, or something.
Yeah.
And then like he really wants her to come with him, but yeah, this is kind of the thing that gets me, because it's like we spent a whole episode learning about these four people who became this team that were going to the islands,
Mhm.
with a specific mission. And I feel like, again, they pulled an other on us and specifically wrote at least like Miles, who was like our one of the main characters for a little bit. They specifically wrote him in a way where it's like you're not getting information,
Mhm.
you know it's cryptic for cryptic's sake.
Mhm.
Faraday at least gets to be part of Desmond's flashback. And so we're like, okay, like there's an interesting connection between them. And yeah, but then Frank is just the pilot who doesn't really get more characterization beyond that.
Hmm.
You know, he's just trying to help people.
Yeah.
And then Charlotte's the odd one out because it's like she seems like the most educated, the most poised for adventure and exploration, but nothing.
You
She
don't know
gets
anything
nothing.
about her. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know anything about it. We get the weird episode where her and Faraday stop a chemical leak, maybe,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah. That was like, I, that's one of the problems with bringing in new characters into an ensemble show. Like the only way to fix that is to kill four characters before you bring four more in, you know? So, or the other option is just, which is kind of hard to do when you only have 14 episodes in your season, but you actually tell other stories that don't involve the main group or whatever.
yeah,
That's kind of, that was the whole thing. Game of Thrones again, like Tyrion, Danny, Jon Snow, they were our leads because they were the most popular with the fans.
mm,
You know, when you read the books, it's an ensemble show. Like, I'm not saying you have a season without Jon Snow, but it's okay to not have Jon Snow in an episode or two
hmm,
because that would have solved the whole problem. Because what was it like whenever they introduced the sand snakes and stuff? They're like, well, we don't really have time to focus on them, so we're just gonna write whatever, you
yeah,
know. And the books are like they straight up split it. So like if you want to tell both, tell it as an ensemble story. So it's kind of the same way. Like maybe and Lost is good at this. Like we don't see Locke for a few episodes or whatever.
yeah,
So like when you have the longer seasons, it's easier to do. But like we don't. I just feel like there's no excuse to have Sun and Jin on the beach for several episodes when you could
yeah,
write them something good to do, and that includes the new four. Like they were really pumped up in the beginning because we have these new characters. What are they going to bring? And then they kind of fizzled out. Like they're still there, but they're not really playing a big role in the plot,
hmm,
other than Frank flying everyone around back and forth.
yeah,
So and he's gone. Like he left. He
hmm.
survived. So who knows if we'll see Frank again? So yeah, man, I don't know.
I don't know.
What an episode though.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to think who else. Sawyer swims back to the island. He makes it back. He's drinking with Juliet when he sees the smoke coming from the freighter, and he's like, "Oh shit!"
Hmm.
Rose and Bernard are there somewhere.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think. Everyone else we know of. Yeah,
Wanted there to be a quick shot of Nikki and Paolo's grave, as they just like,
that's all that gets left behind.
yeah, just them.
Yeah, still alive but paralyzed.
Mm. Sure, they're dead at this point.
Yeah, pretty sure it was at
Yeah,
least 2 or 3 weeks ago.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next with Locke because he's kind of like the de facto leader now. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
here we go. It also definitely feels like Ben is like the cautionary tale.
Hmm.
Like, be careful, Locke. Like, I love Ben's line a couple episodes ago. Destiny is a fickle bitch. And it's like, be careful, Locke. If you do something you're not supposed to, or if you make a bad call, the island will find someone else.
Hmm.
I'm like, ooh, is that what happens to Jeremy Bentham? Who knows?
Maybe.
Especially when Ben mentions he's like, if you move the island, you can't come back. But that doesn't mean that's why, like, it doesn't mean you can't leave, but it's like, what happens to get Locke to leave?
Hmm.
I'm assuming to get everyone back because that's what Jack was saying. He's like, it's all our fault, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
So, what would cause Locke to leave the island?
I don't know.
Could he walk?
Mm.
I'm sure we'll find out next time.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. In season 5, episode 1, we're gonna find
Yeah.
out.
Okay, so MVPs, man.
Oh,
I kind of
forgot
got.
about
I'm
that.
kind of thinking ensemble here. Like
Yeah,
it was just good all around.
for sure. Yeah. everyone's bringing their A game. There's
Yeah.
everybody. Most people at least get like one standout moment. So yeah, it's all there.
Uh
It's all happening.
Ensemble, but mostly Yunjin Kim scream.
Yes, 100%.
Gosh, should have got an award just for that scream alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well now that the season has finished, predictions.
Boy, howdy. I don't know. I don't know, Matthew.
Yeah, especially because right now, like with the island stuff, like it would just be guessing at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it literally anything can happen because like we don't have enough information on that cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whereas with the off island stuff, we kind of have an idea of what's coming. Because that was the whole point of the last scene. Like Ben is telling Jack that essentially he's gonna have to get the gang back together to go back to the island. So is it gonna be like a giant like a heist? We have to get the crew back together.
Mm-hmm.
Jack is with Ben in Locke's body. Saeed's with Hurley. So there you go. We already got half the team together
Mm-hmm.
because Saeed works for Ben.
There you go.
So we need to figure out Kate. And that's gonna be interesting too, because Kate's not gonna want to take Aaron. Kate's probably not even gonna want to go anyway.
Yeah.
Uh, but would the others, would like Jack and Ben, let her not take Aaron?
Yeah.
And also, what's Sun gonna do? Especially if they're working with Ben, like,
Mm-hmm.
and she's maybe in an alliance with Widmore. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows?
Mm-hmm. I don't
Damn,
know. I don't
damn.
know. I see the battle lines are being weirdly drawn, but
Right, but we don't really. Yeah,
but we
like,
don't know whose side anybody is on.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Huh.
just like, hey, I'm rooting I'm on the side of everybody who's not white. You know, I'm on Hurley's side, I'm on Sun's side, I'm on Saeed's side,
What
Michael's.
happens when they're not on the same side, though? It's like,
Hey,
oh
I
crap!
want them to win the island. That's what I want.
I
That's what
want them to win the
it's
island.
about winning the island. Like
I want them
Sun kills
to
off Widmore and Ben, and then she gets to rule the island. That's the yeah.
defeat racism and the patriarchy, and why not capitalism while we're at
Hey,
it?
hey, why not?
Not really capitalism on the island. So,
See, there you go. We've already beat one.
yeah, one
You
down,
know,
two to go.
one down.
Wow. I'm
Yep.
kind of interested to see now because we really don't know what the others have been up to. They were at the temple, whatever that is, but like they abandoned the neighborhood.
Hmm.
I'm assuming they're not at like the hatches and the because all that stuff was the smaller island too. So
Hmm.
which is gone as well. So
Hmm.
I'm like, what are the others' purpose? What are
That's
they?
that's what I want to know, man. I'm like, y'all were set up to be such a interesting,
Yeah,
group of people, and y'all are just there. Y'all are just tag-alongs at this point,
yeah,
you know?
like Locke and Ben are like being they're acting like defenders of the island. So like the others really feel like worshipers in a way, especially when
Hmm.
like Cindy came back, the stewardess.
Yeah.
She was just kind of brainwashed, it seemed like. But
Yeah.
Richard doesn't seem that way. And Richard, I don't know, he either lives forever or he's time traveling.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen anyone actually time travel successfully
Except for Ben.
unless, well, I was gonna say unless it's an accident.
Mm.
Because like Ben, that was kind of a result of moving the island. Desmond, it was like mentally, and that was like a result of the hatch blowing up and stuff.
Hmm.
And all the weird stuff with the storm, and yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you? Hey, there's this kid. It's 1950, whatever. There's this kid I got to go visit to see if he's the next guardian of the island. How do I get there?
Hmm.
I got to go back in time somehow. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's see. Um, Exciting, guys. Thank you for joining us in this another season of Lost. Okay, if we gotta rank them, I kind of feel like this is still my favorite season of Lost.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
I would say this is number one.
Hmm.
I'd say the next one would be season three, even though there were some lows, but it was a much faster paced season than one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
For me, it's 4-3-1-2.
me too.
Hey,
Nice. Well, I'm
like
glad we
we're
solved
brothers or
that
something.
problem.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
So, guys,
Watch, I hate next season. Then I'm like, it's worse than 2. Like it's at the very bottom. You're
right?
like, I like it. I
We're
think
gonna
it's as
see.
good as 4. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're this season started the second half, so we're gonna be, I don't know, I guess half we'll see it as a trilogy, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you could because the end of the first one they reveal that they do get off the island. And then season 4, we start seeing the flash forwards off the
Yeah.
island. So yeah, I guess it
Yeah.
could be. So we've begun the final trilogy, and now we'll see what happens in part 2.
Mm.
Um, Guys, thanks for joining us. Look, I don't know what the schedule is going to be because we were supposed to take a break after this episode, and
Hmm.
kind of just did a break unintentionally. So
Yeah.
we will be back next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about. And if all those fails, we'll just bring Dad on, and he'll make us laugh. But of course, we're going to talk because I want to talk to Sam about his filmmaking experience and all that stuff. So we'll have stuff to
Yep.
talk about.
Yep.
We'll probably do an Ask Dad somewhere, maybe actually watch a movie and talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
I'm guessing it's going to be at least a month. This episode airs like the first Monday in June, I believe. So it probably won't be till July once we get into season 5.
Mhm.
And we're going to kind of play with the schedule as well because, season 5 is going to be longer than 4, but we also have Halloween coming up. So I think it's easy. We can easily finish season 5 before the end of the year.
Mhm.
But, we want to have some fun along the way as well. So,
Yeah, we
we'll
want
see
to be
what happens.
goosey.
Yeah. So, stick around. We'll be around. Until then, you can find me on Twitter at _Matt Jimenez and on Instagram at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Real, that's REEL, Texas Weirdo.
Until next time,
Get lost.